would you please introduce our special guest?
Absolutely. Donna McLeod was born on the island of Jamaica and grew up in Canada. She moved to Georgia in 1998. Donna McLeod is a chemical engineer with 20 years experience in quality assurance management, engineering, and the president CEO of Envirocal LLC, a quality assurance regulatory consulting company and specializing in medical devices, food, plastics, and pharmaceuticals. She was a grassroots organizer for Senator Obama's 2008 campaign. In 2016, she ran for State House Representative, District 105 in Gwinnett County. Ms. McLeod ran again for State House Representative in 2018, and on November 6, 2018, she was elected to State Representative for District 105, winning with over 4,000 votes. In 2020, the former Representative McLeod sought re-election with her Let's Do It Again campaign. And she was a legislative whip in the 2021 session. She introduced a House resolution that recognized September as African Immigrant Heritage Month. She was also a co-signer on the legislation to ensure that government employees are paid for the Juneteenth holiday. Hello. And she also created legislation to make Election Day a holiday and legislation to remove millions of dollars in the Georgia budget for private prisons, and ran for Congress. In 2022, Ms. McLeod ran for the Democratic nomination for Congress for Georgia's 7th District. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our great honor to present to you the beautiful, the honorable Donna McLeod.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited about being here, and whatever you want to throw at me.
Oh, wow. You're ready.
I'm ready, whatever. I'm Jamaican.
After what we just read, she seems like she's ready for anything. You know, if you need your chemistry homework help, she's got that down, right?
Yeah, a little H2O, a little,
Yes.
you know, all of that.
Fully covered. And I got to mention on her bio that she's very proud to be a grandmother and a mother as well, you know.
And I was endorsed by also the sitting president, Barack Obama.
Yes. You know,
High honors.
there's a picture, I think we have, Mr. P, of another famous Caribbean, a politician of Caribbean descent with Donna McLeod. I think we have that picture up, Mr. P. I think you know which one I'm talking about. You know, she hangs with good company. You know,
Yes.
you know,
Only the best.
former vice president,
Oh,
none
yes.
other than of the United States
Kamala.
of America.
Yes.
Also, another proud Jamaican representing for us here in the States. So,
love
you know,
it.
she rubs elbows with the top tier.
Top notch.
That's what I'm saying.
You know? But I do have to say, Donna, you know, currently you're not in elected office, but from what I see, you're still doing the job, you know, and I think that speaks volumes.
Well, people won't let me stop, right? They call me. They still think I'm their representative. So if you are in the business of public service, either you are in it or you're not. And so you're never kind of ever out of it if you really truly committed to serving the public. And if people see you that way, you go along with them and you do what you can to help.
Yeah, leadership is not a title. Yeah, it is not. And you walk the walk. And we thank you for that, because it's needed. It's needed.
Absolutely.
Because the political world is not an easy arena to jump into.
No, and political. I really try my best to get people to understand the difference between politics and governance, and that's something I think has been intentionally done so people get kind of confused and say they don't want to be a part of politics. And politics is the process, right, in which we have to persuade people to vote for you, obviously, and you might have an opponent, and you want to make sure that people vote for you rather than your opponent.
Right.
And that's the political process. And you know what? People practice politics in all kinds of ways. Your children don't want to eat something. You offer them to eat the stuff they don't want, the broccoli first, and then, maybe afterwards you get some ice cream.
Right.
That's politics. It's about persuasion, right? But
You got to make a deal.
You got to make a deal. You got to get people to think. But the bigger part is the governance, right? And we are seeing this, a civic lesson in real time. And I do want to correct something. We actually don't have a right to vote in this country. We have the ability to vote. Because the U.S. Constitution only actually wrote in white men that own land inside the Constitution. Everyone else is an amendment to it.
Okay.
And 2/3 of Congress can actually repeal almost all of those. One of the things I'd like to see is the actual U.S. Constitution updated with all the 27 amendment that's already there, and whatever other amendments that we'd like to see in that Constitution, so that we're not going back and forth about who can and cannot vote, and then making new laws to prevent people or make it harder for people to vote, right?
Okay.
But at the end of the day, I think it's important for us to understand that governance is about our tax dollars. When we collect taxes in the state of Georgia, it's basically three ways: income, sales, and property tax. And we use that money on behalf of the people we serve. And what do we do with it? We provide a service for you, programs and services.
Right.
If you're in business, you want to create a product or a service, but you're going to charge for it. And you're going to charge a higher price for it so that you can get a
profit.
return on investment.
Right.
Well, in government, taxation is taken out almost automatically from your paycheck, or when you buy something and you pay that sales tax, that's automatic. So you really didn't have a choice. Now you want good people at the table so that those programs and services that we provide is there. In the state of Georgia, the number one, the number, and I should update this bio, the number one funding for the state of Georgia is education, which is over 50% of the budget. The problem with the funding with that is that the last time it was updated was 1986.
Wow.
You look at Gwinnett County, any other county across the 159 counties that are in the state of Georgia, and you'll find that almost everything has changed in some ways, and it's not meeting the needs of the kids. And then there's $142 million in that budget for private prisons. So we're not committed to it. And then there's always this constant need to take money out of the school budget to fund charter schools and private schools. And again, this is about making sure that we use the money ultimately for the purpose that it was designed to do,
Right.
and to ensure that people do get those services. Everything that you go through government for is a service provided by all of us saying we want this to happen, because we don't want everybody, being in a parking lot and somebody trying to rob you just because they don't got.
Right.
We try to make as much as possible some equity in society. And the whole commotion about DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which seemed to have almost wanted to stigmatize Black people, or
Yeah. And to create this thing of a fallacy of that there's a problem
With it.
with there being inclusion.
and diversity and
Right.
equity. So, even a person who uses a wheelchair and finds that there's a ramp going into a building, that happens to be DEI.
Right.
One of the group that benefited more from the diversity, equity, and inclusion are white women that actually benefited the most. Again, it's this way. Again, this is always about politics. That's politics, right? Trying to persuade people to believe something alternative to what the actual facts are. And, it's sad that there's a lot of people that really don't know how to critically think.
Well, I think right now what we're seeing is a party that is masters of spin, and they're right now controlling the narrative. Why are we not seeing a stronger pushback from the Democrats with that, to that narrative?
And I think the vice president did some kicking back the other day. because they want to come in and bust up her book signing. And she told them, look here, I ain't the president, so don't even bother with this. I think one thing with Democrats is that they really try to, their thing is to try to live within the law. Mm-hmm. They really wanted to do the interpretation of the Constitution in a way that says, okay, we can evolve, elevate, become better, right? While the Republicans, the day that Senator Barack Obama got elected, saw the Constitution as null and void. And to be honest, if you read the Constitution, it's got a lot of holes because remember, the Constitution was written at a time when we weren't at the table, right?
Right.
This was 1787, independence for this country from their Great Britain. Their independence was based on the fact that they relieved themselves from Great Britain.
Right.
Yeah, from a king. From a king. Apparently they've forgotten. And so on July 4th, 1776, but it took another almost 10 years to get to over 10 years to get to the actual Constitution for it to be ratified. The thing is when that document was written, people of African descent was on plantations. That is why there's a Juneteenth. So when we were celebrating July 4th, we were actually celebrating the Europeans, the colonists that came here and took the land from the Native American Indians. So this is actually, what is it, this Indigenous Day?
Yes.
So
yes.
how appropriate. So they welcomed them with open arms and they stabbed them in the back. Right. But let's move on from there. So you got to that point. You created the Constitution. I think there was a somewhat of almost a gentleman agreement between white men that would always be white men being president. I think Barack Obama becoming president shocked the daylights out of them in a way that they could not bear.
Right.
And so there was a post that I reposted that said they'd rather burn it all down and rule over the ashes.
Yep.
And I think that is the kind of things that we have to be mindful of, that these people, power is more important. Supremacy and making America great again. I don't know which time in their history. I don't know who's make America great what they're living in, but it wasn't for us. So when you hear that though, but you get these slogans and you get people just believing in things that are not real. There was no real time in America's history where everybody was living in a way that it was great for everyone.
Right.
So unless you really don't believe in humanity, then the only people that matter is the people that you see as humans. Right. And so we have to be cognitive. It's not about living in fear. It's about living in truth and verifying. I'm in a group chat with a bunch of leaders, and I say anytime we put anything, make sure you check, double check, triple check, because we do not want to disseminate other lies that unnecessarily. Right. It's good to know what the lies are out there, but it's also good when we are going to be the ones to disseminate information that it is factual. And I'm an engineer, so for us, we start with theory. But we have to prove theory. Right. You can have all the theories you want and ideas you want. If you can't get it done, I've never understood these people who can basically say, I don't like this, or I don't want certain. You wouldn't exist if some of these people weren't around. Like, you can't sit in an air-conditioned room and not realize that you didn't invent it.
Science is important. I have a favorite scientist. Yeah, that's my little nerd side. Okay, all right. So Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm always listening to Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he's saying basically, if not for science, human existence like 30 years was like the average lifespan. Like half the people wouldn't live past 30, right? Without science and scientific advancement, which has only happened within the last 200 to 150 years.
That our lifespan
that we're living to 70 and 80 years old and all of this. So
people take it for. That's the problem with people, though. It's almost as if they become entitled, and entitlement can kill you, just like ignorance can kill you. And stupidity, I'm done with because I can't deal with it. I am not even going to bother to try because even if you tell some of the facts, there's still. I was watching this video with clearly Donald Trump is lying. The felonious moron is saying that Biden brought FBI agents into the crowd on January 6, 2021. Dude, you were the president.
Right.
And this woman really tried to say maybe he's going to prove something. Huh? You are the commander. He was the commander. It's a bizarre sense of perception of somebody's humanity that can allow you to just dismiss, right? You know, I talked to black men voted 78% for Kamala, black women 92%. And I say people all the time, it ain't that black women are a monolith. We are not a monolith. We have varying ideas, different backgrounds, and all of that. What we do, because we are the original women of the planet, what we do is put our humanity first. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And that's how we're able to get what we do and stick together like that. It isn't that we don't disagree on things.
Right.
No, we put humanity first. And so when I see this happening, I ask everyone else to be mindful of facts, but also be clear about how you see someone else. You have to demean someone else to zero in order to treat them less than. You have to demean them. The only reason they could enslave Africans was they had to devalue them.
Yeah.
You can never
Remove
treat
the
them as
humanity.
humans. Yeah, you have to take their humanity, because once you take it and you convince other people to take other people's humanity, then you can do what you want.
Right. And history repeats itself, folks.
Oh,
you know,
yes.
The playbook are a former Georgia candidate, Stacey Abrams, excuse me,
Abrams.
had broken down all of the steps to authoritarianism.
Yeah.
And we see it being played
playing
out
out.
in real time. Now, with the current situation as it impacts the Caribbean community and ICE and this, I do not want to call it the immigration policy, because it's not a real immigration policy.
No,
it's really just
thug-like.
it's just torture of innocent
The cruelty
people.
is the game. Truth. So what I tell all our folks is to make sure. I've been telling for years, though. I couldn't tell you how many times I tell people, stop telling me I go back to Jamaica. You're there 40 years. Your pitney them grew up, them done, but you're still there, and you're still there. Tell me about you go to Jamaica. Get your citizenship. I had begged them, right? I just helped a couple. They got their citizenship, and I said, get your citizenship. If you have a green card, this is where you must be cognitive of the fact that you are at the mercy of the United States. You literally can be deported for doing anything wrong because you're a green card holder.
Right.
So you're just a visitor in some ways. You have visitation rights to more than somebody who's not, just coming here. But you have that visitation right at the mercy of the country. And so, you can work here, all of that, build all of that. You cannot vote. But most importantly, you've got to know when you leave the country, you have to make sure that when you're coming back in, obviously you're going to be using another country's passport because you're not a citizen of this country. Make sure you do not sign the I-407, which would confiscate your green card.
I-407, that's very important. So are they sliding papers in
yes.
people to sign, and you don't realize what you're signing, you sign the way you're...
Do not sign the I-407.
Okay.
If you do run into issues as a green card holder, please do not stay out of the country for any extended period of time, because it can be confiscated again. You're at the mercy of the American government.
Is it 6 months or less?
No, it depends on what they want to do.
Oh.
Could be 6 weeks.
Oy.
They think you stay too long. What you do not stay so long.
So just hold,
minimize.
sit down.
2 weeks, your week.
Yeah.
Try not to do too many. In some administration, they didn't care, but not this one, because they're looking for ways. So make sure that you watch the time frame that you're in the country and you're out of the country. If you do get into problems, you will need an immigration attorney. So I would expect that people will carry or know an immigration attorney's number.
Let me tell you, folks, personal experience. Yeah, trust me, you do not want to go in front of a judge and not have an attorney at your side when dealing with this process.
Absolutely.
I went through something similar a few years ago, right? I was put into removal proceedings, right? At the time I got my citizenship, they said that I had lied on my application.
Oh, yeah, they'll find little things.
What happened was the facts changed. At the time that I had applied, I was single. I then got married. So they said, wait, you're married. You're not single. But I got married 11 years after the application went in. 11 years. And that's another problem. The legal system takes so long to do it. It forces people to want to try and find a faster way to do it, right?
That's why people do it.
But I spent the money to get the attorney. What happened was he went in, he spoke to the U.S. attorney before we even got in front of the judge. And that was the part, that was the value, because they saw clearly, oh, he qualifies on the both things. And it wasn't that at the time he was single. He got married years after it. And so they spoke to the judge prior. So when the judge called the proceeding up, it was a quick dismissal. And I'm cleared and to go. But without that, it would have been
a lot different.
Boy.
And that's why I'm telling people, make sure you have a thing. I came from Canada, so I born in Jamaica, Kingston, Tivoli Garden area, West Kingston. And but got to Canada, and when my dad is the one, because he was a welder and he worked. He was needed in Canada back in the late 60s. My dad was making like $10 an hour in the late 60s and early 70s. Think about it. Because he was such a highly skilled, he's a welder, so he was highly skilled. And so that's how he ended up getting to Canada. And then he worked both sides of the borders. As he went to Canada over the years, he worked both sides. And he was the one that asked, and by the time I was an adult, he asked if we were interested in coming to the States. I said, sure, why not? It took 7 years. It started in, I came in 98, 91. I started the process.
Yeah.
The only reason why I ended up in Georgia was because it took so long. The Olympics happened here, 1996. So that's how I ended up coming here because of the Olympics. But the process can be long.
Yes.
And it can be frustrating. And everybody wanted to be here. So again, if you are leaving, make sure you have an attorney. Now, if you're a U.S. citizen, it's a little bit different. And you run into any issues, you do not get an immigration attorney. You get a civil rights attorney.
Okay.
Two different things.
All right. Because you are a U.S. citizen, so you are protected under the Constitution.
Yes. And everybody is in a lot. As long as you're here, you're protected. So you can't just go on and take people. What they're doing is illegal.
Well, I was just about to say.
What they're doing is illegal.
You need to tell them, because people are getting on planes every day.
Yeah, the 14th, I think it's the 14th Amendment. It is illegal. But this is what the Democrats need to catch up to.
Yeah.
Because this dude don't care.
Right.
You can't play a game of straight and narrow when your opponent is crooked going this way. You cannot play the straight and narrow when they're crooked.
Yeah.
So it's not that you want to go outside so far, but you can't. You have to do things a little bit different. And it's like the narrative about the shutdown, that somehow the Democrats are responsible for the shutdown. Dude, your party owns the U.S. Senate, the House of Representatives, the executive branch, and apparently some of the people in the Supreme Court is owned by you. Yeah. So you're going to say you don't have any? First of all, the idea of opposition party is that it's opposition.
Yes.
You can't see things the same way.
Right.
So it forces you to negotiate. Right. If you want something done, yet this fool thinks the Democrats should just lay down and say,
yeah, no.
Oh, please.
King Trump.
He's ridiculous.
King Trump that's what exactly he's trying to do, right?
Yeah.
He's trying to establish a mentality within the citizens of the country that some will see, you know what, regardless of what, if I'm play on this side, right, we're going to be all right. And so just to your point in terms of taking away the humanity,
Yes.
right, degrading people, treating them, the language that you use
Yes.
to describe certain
Yes.
people. If every enemy is, or not every enemy, I don't even want to say enemy, just every opposition is an enemy, you know, who isn't smart,
Yeah.
who isn't this,
Oh,
isn't
yeah.
that. So
The
it makes it
genius one
easy
himself.
for them to be a target. And we've seen that, in, a lot of political violence and
Yes.
is taking place.
But that's all part of the authoritarianism, right? It's part of the whole playbook, right? I ask people not to live in fear because fear will paralyze you. Should you be alert and aware? Yes. Living in fear is when somebody can take your power. And at the end of the day, when you give up your power to someone else, you lose everything. And that's the whole idea of people that are authoritarian. They want you to feel like they're bigger and better than you. I always think about when I travel and I'm coming back, and I'm in a plane, right? And we've all gone on a plane and come back down, and then you realize how insignificant humans are. Because you literally have to be on the ground to start seeing us.
Yeah.
You can't even see us.
Little dot.
But we think we're that powerful. And let a good storm come, I'll be sitting there looking crazy. Oh my gosh, I gotta go drive north because I gotta go. But it's that mentality that we have to somehow be better or stronger, and to do the survival of the fittest mentality, which is what I think between him and Robert Kennedy. Between the two of them,
the brainworm.
the brainworm dude and the senile one, between the two of them, I really think they don't understand that survival of the fittest means the two of them is probably going to be going soon. I'm just saying. But
Well,
we won't tell
don't
them.
believe the doctor's reports now,
No.
because Donald Trump is the fittest man ever.
Oh, yes.
And so
Of course.
some minor ankle swelling, that's all.
That's the hands.
And hand bruise,
Yeah.
that's all.
But again, if you can convince enough people to believe it, then you're winning. And I think it's up to us, those of us with sense, to not fall into that thing. And it is important for people to actually exercise their right and their ability to get out there, protest, vote. We have elections in this state. We have
November 4th.
Yes. We have municipal election, and Gwinnett County is unique because Gwinnett County has municipal election, but you have to go to most likely the city hall. So there's a big difference with voting in the municipal election, which is your city council, mayors. Those are usually done in the city hall. Most of the other counties in Georgia, you vote at the same polling locations you normally. But we have elections in the city. And the city, when I'm talking about city elections, that means that you live in the city limits of that city.
Okay.
Most of us live in unincorporated areas of the city. So I live in Lawrenceville, but I live in unincorporated Lawrenceville. The city, again, this is another racial move back in the day, because the city was where most of the commerce happened. So it's where most of the money was, where most African descendants were in the rural parts because they were working on fields.
Right.
So they didn't have access. So most of the people that lived in the city limits were really Caucasian, right?
Right.
And so they get the benefit of being in the commerce. But know that you live in the city. You can go to iwillvote.com. That's iwillvote.com, and you can put your first initial, last name, date of birth, and the county you're registered in, and you should be able to get all your stuff. It should tell you if you are a municipal voter or not. On the general election side, which is this is a pretty active election cycle, because we have a county public service commissioner race, that is statewide. This is people that look after your utilities, your water, electricity, gas. and they negotiate on your behalf with private companies. And so you want people that are really caring about you
Right.
to ensure that, oh, you got my newsletter.
Yes, yes.
Oh,
We're
cool.
showing people in the background. So,
wow.
because as you mentioned, the different locations and things, so
Yes.
people can see
So-
a wealth of information right there. Thank you for that, because it is also difficult for people to find things when you have to run all over the place. What Donna has done and her team has put together everything for you in one location. It makes it easy, easy.
Easy breezy. And I try to make sure that people get what they need. Also, it is important to also know there's two SPLOST, special purpose local something tax. But one is for the education, it's a penny tax, and the other is for TSPLOST, which is the transportation tax. We have been trying for years to get transportation into Gwinnett. There's been a resistance because, for some reason, I think some people feel somebody can steal a TV and get on the bus and ride.
Yeah.
I don't know what the
I've
problem
heard that
is.
since I got to Atlanta,
Yeah.
which is the year before the Olympics.
Yeah.
Right. And the transit system has spread out a little bit,
Little
since then.
bit.
But
It's
still,
bad. In
20 plus years, they have not allowed this transit
So
system.
this penny's supposed, for me, any of us that are up north, we know the grid system. It makes sense. West, north, east, not this place, right?
Right.
They got that circular highway. They got all kinds of byways and sideways, and they make it so that zip codes are important where you live demographically. They'll tell you if you're going to get things or not get things. Bus transportation is actually healthy for everyone, for commuting, for relieving traffic, but also as a means of making sure your employees have an ability to go to work.
Yes.
I tell people this all the time. These folks who, I don't want that up here because, they're going to bring crimes. And I said, okay, but you want your shelves in the grocery store to be filled, and you want to go to the restaurant and somebody to serve you. Okay, where do you think those employees are coming from?
Right.
They have to be in your neighborhood, and you're not paying them, $60,000 for this. You're paying them $9, $10, $11. They need to live where they work.
Yes.
So they can serve you, because apparently you like to be served. But people don't think about that logically, right? They just think about, it's going to bring up the riffraff. Well, the riffraff's already here.
Right.
If it was black people, we're already here. So that's the riffraff. We're here. It's just the mentality, and always have to put somebody smaller to make themselves feel larger. Of course, everybody wants to feel safe. So you want a well-trained police force that knows the community. And there's also neighborhood involvement with that. You don't want just the police being heavy-handed in your community. You want a community that people actually feel safe in, and that they're willing to say something if they see something.
Yes.
And so I think, as a person who's been at the table and still in some ways impact the table, I think it's important for us to always remember the role that we play is for information purposes, for protection purposes, not to be better than the people you serve.
Yeah.
They're the reason why you were there.
So I said, if you actually know who the politicians are, then something's wrong with society.
Yeah.
Because good leadership gets out of the way. It's about problem solving.
Always about problem solving.
And so, it's not about you, the accolades and
No.
going around the table and tell everybody how great I am. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Island Heat Radio Show podcast right here on APAP Radio. We are your host, DJ Super Peck.
And I'm Lady Lalabella, and we are with the beautiful Donna McLeod. Thank you for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank
Now,
you guys
Donna,
so much.
we are voting yes for Splush. This is right?
Yes, we are voting yes. Yes is very important because let me tell you something. There was never any discussion back in the early 2000s and 90s about the pennies. There's never been. But now that the school is majority children of color, all of a sudden we're objecting to it. We need the reason why it's so important is because, again, I told you earlier, the QBE formula, which is the Quality Basic Education Formula, was last updated in 1985. So the funds are not being allocated properly. But not only that, the penny SPLOST is actually, and let me tell you a couple of things that are not in the budget. One is kids with special needs, not in the Georgia funding formula.
Wow.
Kids that need reduced lunch, not in the public. It's federal dollars, and he's messing around with the federal dollars. So, you know, FAFO, somebody's gonna find out.
Right.
And also like schools that need repair. You know, I'm a grandmother in this county, and my grandson will, you know, they do little fundraisers like, okay, if your kids want to wear a hat today, $1.
Right,
so these are fundraisers they do to raise money. And because they're not getting everything they need. So this penny SPLOST is supposed to help for replenishing buildings that might be, you know, air-conditioned ducts needs to be cleaned out or need to be repaired or replaced. If there's something, structures falling apart, if they need so the school system actually buys land from the county to build a new school.
Wow. Okay.
So the school raises its own money through property taxes, but it's always never enough because you're going to build a school that large with all the amenities, with the things that the students will need, and then having to, you know, give them the books and the supplies they need. Think about the cost of that. So it's not cheap. And so, yes, I support saying yes on both the education as well as the transit.
Excellent. Now, is there any other major initiative that people should be aware of that they might be trying to sneak in there?
No.
Okay.
So some people will have a special election as well because District 106, some people live in the Lilburn, Lawrenceville area. One of my former colleague, Shelley Hutchinson, she's stepping down because her father is very ill. And so she's stepping down. So there's going to be a special election on November 4th for 106. So people should look up the candidates on that. You can go to iwillvote.com and you can get a sample ballot. So you can actually download that sample ballot and you can actually take it in with you to vote.
Okay.
And you can fill it out already, but you'll have to have it in a paper form. You can't bring it on your phone. You can't use your phone while you're voting, but you can always take, and they usually have the paper ballot also when you go to vote. And in fact, I will be volunteering tomorrow as a poll watcher.
Okay.
So, I said knowledge is the most powerful thing you give to yourself, but the vote is the most powerful thing we give to each other.
I like that. The most powerful thing we give to each other.
Yes.
So, we have any Caribbean descendants running for office in Georgia that you want to mention?
Yes. So for City Council in Lawrenceville, we have Marlene Taylor Crawford and Austin Thompson. Marlene's father's Cuban, but her mother's Jamaican.
Okay.
And Austin's Guyanese.
All right. We won't hold that against him.
No, I'm gonna tell him something. I'm gonna tell him sorry. I'm gonna tell him something.
I can make that joke. I always tell people I'm 100% Jamaican and 100% Guyanese. So
We won't hold it against none of y'all. And they're up for re-election. So they're not. They've already been elected. They made history. Like so many of us in Gwinnett County, I was the first Jamaican born to serve in the Georgia House, and they were the first to serve on the City Council for Lawrenceville. And by the way, Lawrenceville is a very rich city. Very, very rich because they collect enough of my gas money. So they have they do from almost all the residents in Lawrenceville. They're the ones that are the provider for gas. Let me see who else is on for this election. There was a young lady. Her father was Jamaican, but she she wasn't successful in the runoff. She's out of, I think it was near Cherokee and Fulton County. Her name is Deborah.
Okay.
There was a big race recently, and she actually got more votes than all of her opponents. But when it came down, they consolidated.
Yeah.
Which is something we knew she would have to get more. And let me think now. Across, let me see all the of Caribbean descent. Let me see if Gwinnett, Fulton. Cupid, there's a few that already been elected. They're not up for re-election. But because this is a municipal election, I don't have anyone else in Gwinnett County or Fulton County that I know of.
Okay.
There might be a couple in DeKalb.
Okay.
But again, we need to be at a table. I remember, the two festivals, the two carnivals were separated, and I got this call, like the Friday night, Donna. Them not giving us the permit for the police officers. You know what I said? You know what? And I did call up some of my colleagues, but that's 11th hour. It's impossible. Yeah. And they were really trying to just get them out of the thing. And if people don't know why this is so important to our culture, and you're not at the table,
yep,
they ain't gonna care.
Nobody's there to speak up for you. So I tell,
like that poem. First they came for and I said nothing. Then they came for. Well. Until you're at the table, can you speak up for yourself or say the importance? It's nice to have allies, but there's nobody more passionate about anything than you who know what it means to you.
Yep.
And that's why my being elected as the first Jamaican born, but also the first woman of Caribbean heritage was so important because it changed the way that Caribbean people saw themselves in leadership role, but it also said to the General Assembly, this ain't gonna be a regular day for you, boo.
Right.
When I got on there, I'm gonna big up, and I'm gonna learn my stuff because I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
I don't come to play. Don't take care of it off, boo.
I always wondered, this was so strange to me, because of our cultural background and how important education is, right? Where we're coming from, right? So you would always think, well, you want to pick the smartest person to be the leader. Like you would think automatically, like a Barack Obama, who is a world-class scholar.
Well,
like
us DEI people, who knows what you're gonna get, but Rhodes scholars, engineers, the DEI. My goodness, what is he asked for?
An actual attorney at law,
right?
Constitutional law, versus the D student who probably dad paid for his degrees and moved him through.
But it's that disrespect, right? It's the marginalize and minimize your worth. I remember I was 50 years old when I got elected to the Georgia House. So I walked in there knowing who I was in the first place. And as a Jamaican, I walk in there like nobody business, right? Because I already know, and I see it come. I remember one guy came to me and said, hey, girl. Excuse you?
Who's girl?
Whose girl are you talking to? I said, I'm duly elected. You can call me the gentle lady. You can call me Representative McLeod, but you will not call me girl. I am not your girl, and that ain't going to happen again. Every time he saw me after that, hello, Representative.
Yeah, but no, corrected, yes.
You've got to set, like my dad used to always tell me, you only have one time to make a first impression.
Yeah.
And so make every impression that you have the first time.
Yeah.
And so I was very cognitive to make sure I stopped him, because those are the kinds of people that think that that familiarity or to minimize. You are elected by the same amount of people I was elected by, and probably I got more votes than you probably did. And you can't vote for me because there's 180 of us. We represent 180 different districts, and we are duly elected by the people based on the U.S. Constitution and the Georgia Constitution. By the way, there's Georgia Constitution too. Can't violate the U.S. Constitution.
Right.
But yeah.
Oh, there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are speaking with the Honorable Donna McLeod.
Beautiful, so charming.
So intelligent. She knows her stuff. Yeah. And the courage, because especially in this climate, we spoke about the political violence, being a woman, a black woman. This is the state of Georgia.
Yes. I've been threatened.
So I thank you for your words of wisdom. I thank you because, I had no idea that literally you could sign away, your green
Yes, you
card
could.
rights. Like
Yes,
I
you
had
can.
no idea that's a thing.
I-407. Do not sign it.
You know?
You can literally. They basically say you give it up.
Okay. We'll be reaching out. I believe Councilman Thompson.
Yes.
We're going to be having him on shortly. We're just going to work out those details. So for everybody out there, please. I know the general elections, the federal stuff gets all of the big attention, but it is at the grassroots level. It's what's happening right down the street from you, where it lays the groundwork for everything to happen 4 years down the line. Okay, we've got midterm elections that are also going to be coming up soon, so we need to start paying attention. If you've not, this is the important season, right? A lot of what you see happen on the federal level is because there was a powerful grassroots movement by the Republicans a good 10 years ago.
And all elections are local. By the way, Austin was my campaign manager my first election.
Oh, well, look at that.
Yeah.
Look at that. Right.
And, I helped him to get elected to the council. So, we support each other. There's no envy or anything that, because at the end of the day, can't take anything with you. You don't lose anything by giving,
right?
And you get so much more in return,
right? And if there's anybody out there that's listening who might be thinking of stepping forward to throw your hat in the ring, right?
Contact me.
Let's do it, right? You have somebody here. You've got the wise wizard who can guide you on your epic quest to the thing, right?
It wouldn't be like I'm just pretending. I've been there. So, it's a lot. You need to think about a lot. Your family. I always start with everybody saying, make sure you've got your family support, because sometimes that's all you're gonna get.
Yeah.
When you thought everybody's gonna be on your side, and then all of a sudden you're looking and nobody but your family's left. So it's just important. So just some basic stuff and guidelines that I've talked to almost every candidate that's running in Gwinnett County.
Right.
Yes, in the Democratic side.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Would you please give everybody your contact information, how they can reach out to you for anything?
Okay. So if you want to reach out to me, I have a website. It's www.donnamcleod.com. And on there's also a contact page that you can contact me. I'm also on almost every single social media platform. I don't use Twitter as much, but I am on it. And it's Donna McLeod, the number 4, YOU. And it's DONNAMCLEOD, the number 4, YOU. And that's all social media. Also, if you want to send me an email, info@donnamcleod.com.
There you have it. Folks, she has...
I am working on a book, so... Of my life.
Oh, so you're coming back. You have to come back for when your book
Well,
launches.
let me get it done.
Well,
a little early invite.
Well, we have to get her back here real soon for our 101st episode.
Oh.
That's a thing, okay?
101.
Yes,
We're counting down.
We're almost there. Yeah. This is 97, so we're almost there.
Wow,
so we have to have you back really
close.
soon.
Yeah, it'll be real soon.
Consistency.
Yeah, if you believe, you do.
Yes.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. And everybody has a part to play. And everybody's important. Because there's no two persons alike. And you're not in competition with somebody else. You're only in competition with yourself. Because if you can't do it, you just can't do it. If you can do it, you do it. If you can't, you can't.
This is so true. This is so true. All right, hang out for just a few minutes, right? We're almost out of here. I want us to run through the countdown really quick. We're counting down the top 10 songs by Caribbean artists and producers who are based here in the state of Georgia, all right? So first up, this week, who do we have in the number 10 position?
It's number 10, Sir Alexander with Little Green Apples.
Oh, I wake up in the morning with my hair down in my eyes, and she says hi. Table while the kids were going off to school, goodbye.